time is the one thing you cannot buy. Or so they say. The truth is, the ultra-wealthy figured out a long time ago that you absolutely can. Not time itself, but the hours that drain away from ordinary life. The waiting, the planning, the logistics, the friction of just existing in the modern world. All of it. Buyable, removable, gone. Picture this. You wake up and your wardrobe is already curated for the week by someone who knows your schedule better than you do. Your breakfast was prepared before you opened your eyes. Your car is already running. Your flight departs from a private terminal where no one asks you to take off your shoes. And by the time most people are still standing in a security line, you are already at altitude, reading, working, sleeping, or doing absolutely nothing. That is not a fantasy. That is a Tuesday. Today we are counting down the luxury purchases that do one thing above everything else. They buy back time, real time, hours, days, sometimes entire weeks that would otherwise be lost to the friction of regular life. We are going to show you exactly what each upgrade is, what it actually costs, how it works in the real world, and most importantly, what problem it removes from a billionaire's day. Some of these will surprise you, some will feel almost too simple, and at least one of them is something you have probably never even heard of. The average American spends roughly 130 hours per year waiting in lines. For the ultra-wealthy, that number is believed to approach 0. Stay with us, because by the end of this, you will never look at your calendar the same way again. Let us start where almost everyone starts their morning, getting somewhere. For most people, travel is a sequence of small frustrations stacked on top of each other. Traffic, parking, check-in, security, boarding, delays, baggage claim, ground transportation on the other end. By the time you arrive anywhere, you have already spent yourself. The ultra-wealthy solved this problem completely, and they did it in layers. The first layer is private aviation. Not just owning a jet, but owning access to the entire private aviation ecosystem. We are talking about jet cards, fractional ownership programs, full charter accounts, and for the truly serious, a wholly owned aircraft with a dedicated crew on permanent standby. Quick stat, a one-way private flight from New York to Los Angeles reportedly runs between $20,000 and $80,000, depending on aircraft size and availability. A full Gulfstream G700 ownership package is believed to start at around $75 million. But here is what those numbers actually buy. No airport, no line, no check-in counter, no middle seat, no one reclined into your lap. You arrive at a private terminal, sometimes called an FBO, a fixed base operator, and you walk through a quiet lounge directly to the tarmac. Your bags are already loaded. The crew is waiting, wheels up in minutes. The average commercial flight from New York to Miami involves an estimated 2 to 3 hours of airport time on each end. Private aviation reduces that to roughly 15 minutes. But private aviation is only the beginning. The next layer is what happens after the plane lands. Ground logistics, the invisible infrastructure that moves wealthy people from arrival to destination without a single moment of dead time. Dedicated drivers, pre-positioned vehicles, hotel suites that are already open, already stocked, already at the right temperature. Some ultra-high net worth individuals employ what are known as advanced teams, people who travel ahead to set everything up before their principal arrives. So when the client walks through the door of a hotel suite in Dubai or a villa in the south of France, it already feels like home. Nothing to arrange, nothing to wait for, just life already in motion. Now let us go deeper into the world of time buying that most people never see. Because the obvious stuff, the jets, the drivers, gets talked about. What does not get talked about is the layer underneath, the staffing infrastructure that the ultra wealthy build around themselves to make sure they never have to think about the logistics of being alive. This is where the household staff ecosystem comes in. We are not talking about a housekeeper who comes twice a week. We are talking about a full operational team, an estate manager who runs the property like a small business, a personal chef who is available on call, a personal assistant who manages every communication, every appointment, every task that would otherwise require the principal's attention, a household manager who oversees the staff, the vendors, the maintenance schedules, and a fully staffed private residence in a major metropolitan area. Full-time chef, estate manager, 2 personal assistants, security, and housekeeping staff can reportedly cost between $1 and $2 million per year in total compensation and operational overhead. What does that buy? Think about your week. How many hours did you spend cooking or planning meals, scheduling appointments, answering emails that did not need to come to you, waiting for a repairman, running an errand you could not delegate? For a billionaire, that number is 0. Every single one of those tasks has been offloaded to someone whose entire job is to handle it invisibly and silently before it ever becomes a demand on the principal's attention. There is a phrase used quietly in household staffing circles: the principal should never feel the house. Meaning the infrastructure should be so seamless, so invisible, that the person living inside it never once notices the effort required to keep it running. That is what world-class household staffing actually delivers. Not luxury, not indulgence, time. Here is one that surprises people. Medical access, not better insurance. Not a nicer hospital, actual on-demand, proactive, personalized medical care that removes one of the most time-consuming and anxiety-producing experiences in modern life: dealing with the healthcare system. For most people, getting medical attention means waiting for an appointment, waiting in a waiting room, waiting for test results, waiting for a referral, waiting for a specialist who does not have availability until next month. The ultra-wealthy simply do not wait. The mechanism is called concierge medicine, or direct primary care at its most basic level, but at the high end, it goes far beyond that. We are talking about retained physicians who are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Doctors who make house calls, doctors who travel with their clients, doctors who know every detail of a patient's medical history and can coordinate specialist care across continents in a matter of hours. Premium concierge medicine memberships at the highest tier are believed to cost between $40,000 and $300,000 per year per family, depending on the level of access and the physician's profile. Some ultra-wealthy individuals go further. They retain what are known as medical concierge firms, companies that maintain relationships with the top specialists in every major discipline across every major city in the world. If a client needs the leading cardiologist in Zurich on a Thursday, they have an appointment by Friday. Compare that to the average patient's experience navigating a referral network. But the time savings here are not just about appointments. They are about something more important: cognitive load. The mental energy that ordinary people burn worrying about health logistics, scheduling, coordinating, following up, researching is enormous. Removing that friction entirely frees up mental bandwidth that the ultra-wealthy can redirect toward whatever matters most to them. That is the real product, and not medicine. Peace of mind on demand. Let us talk about something that does not get discussed enough when people talk about luxury: the cost of decisions. Every day, every person on earth burns mental energy making small decisions. What to eat, what to wear, what to buy, what to do next. Research has repeatedly suggested that decision fatigue is real, that the quality of our choices deteriorates as the volume of decisions we face increases. The ultra-wealthy solved this too, not by becoming more disciplined, by eliminating the decisions entirely. Personal styling services, private shoppers, curated wardrobes assembled and maintained by professionals who know the client's taste, schedule, and upcoming commitments better than the client does. Clothes appear cleaned and pressed and appropriate for every occasion. Nothing to think about, nothing to choose from a cluttered closet. Top-tier personal styling retainers for ultra-high net worth clients are reportedly valued at anywhere from $30,000 to over $150,000 per year, not including the clothing budget itself. The same logic applies to food. A retained private chef does not just cook, they plan, they source, they prep, they manage dietary needs, social calendars, and guest lists. They make sure that food, one of the most constant low-grade logistical demands of human life, simply never requires a moment of the principal's attention. And then there is travel planning, not booking a flight. We covered that. We mean the entire architecture of a trip, an itinerary that accounts for every preference, every dietary restriction, every security consideration, every local contact, every contingency. Travel managers who have spent years building relationships with the right concierges, the right fixers, the right people who can get a table, a room, an experience that does not technically exist for anyone who does not know who to call. This entire layer of life, the invisible scaffolding of decisions made in advance by people who exist solely to serve the principal's time, is what separates the ultra-wealthy experience from even the merely wealthy one. Because it is not about having nice things, it is about never having to think about them. So what does all of this actually add up to? Let us be precise about it. If you removed every waiting line from your life, you gain roughly 130 hours a year. If you eliminated meal planning, grocery runs, and cooking, some estimates suggest you recover another 200 hours annually. Add in commute elimination, administrative task offloading, and decision fatigue reduction, and you are looking at somewhere in the range of 500 to 700 hours per year returned to you. That is more than 4 months of 40-hour work weeks, handed back. The total annual cost of the full lifestyle infrastructure we have described throughout this video, private aviation access, full household staff, concierge medicine, personal styling, travel management, is reportedly valued at somewhere between $3 and $10 million per year for an ultra-high net worth household. Now here's the question worth sitting with. If you could buy back 500 hours a year, what would you do with them? Because that is the real flex, not the jet, not the chef, not the wardrobe. The answer to that question: the ultra wealthy are not just buying products and services, they are buying the ability to direct their attention wherever they choose, whenever they choose, without friction, without waiting, without the thousand small taxes that ordinary life imposes on everyone else. And perhaps the most interesting thing about all of it is that almost none of it is secret. The tools exist, the services exist, the infrastructure exists. What changes is simply the willingness to see time as the asset worth protecting above all others. The billionaire and the average person share exactly the same 24 hours. What they do not share is how many of those hours are spent waiting. Think about that the next time you are standing in a line. And if you want to keep pulling back the curtain on how the ultra wealthy actually live, how they think, what they build, and what the rest of us can learn from it, stay on this channel. There is a lot more where this came from.